we talked about we talked about 1 through 6 last week of the 7 lesson school teacher. We class position. Oh, what was it? We just kind of dug into confusion, class position, indifference, emotional dependency, intellectual dependency, provisional self-esteem, and now it's one can't hide is what we're on this week. But just as a kind of a wrap up, do you remember any of the points from that, like 1 through 6? Anything stick out to
Yeah.
you? Okay.
I think the biggest one that stood out to me was, I don't remember if it was 7 or if it was before, but it basically teaches you that nothing is important. When the bell rings, you're done. And for me, that I don't, like I said, I don't remember which one it was, but it really kind of stuck out to me because I'm very much a finish. Like, I understand if like time's short and you kind of have to like rush through it, but finish what you started. And school is very much like public school is, it's not. It's okay, you're in something that you're so passionate about. Oh well, the bell rang, you have to move on. And
Right.
I mean, they're teaching kids basically how, I mean, and no offense, my kids have ADHD, but they're teaching them to become short-minded in that mentality.
I never thought about it like that, but it's so true. Great point. It's like behavioral, it's Pavlov's bell, right? Ring the bell, move forward.
Mm-hmm.
The dog drools, the kids move. It's all behavioral. It's crazy. Yeah, great point. Um, and so in 7, this is kind of where we are this week. One can't hide. And so here he's a big highlight for me that's stuck out. Jump in wherever as you're kind of like scrolling through too. Um,
Mm.
the extended schooling called the homework and the surveillance situation there. What was your it reminded me immediately of Orwell's 1984 Big Brother. Like Big Brother is always watching. Um, but man, what stuck out to you about that whole, like as far as it goes, is the homework is an extension of surveillance. Do you agree with that or disagree? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I personally do agree because so I was actually homeschooled until 4th grade. And
Oh, that's
then
awesome.
I did public school from 4th grade till 9th grade.
Okay.
And I remember, this is just my personal outlook. If I'm going to be in school from, I had to get on the bus at 6:15 in the morning
Right.
and get off the bus at, oh gosh, 4:30, 5 o'clock, whatever time. Why do I have to have extra when I get, oh, there's your big baby.
Sorry. I
No,
know.
you're good.
I
Why do I
know.
have to have extra schooling on top of that after school? I mean, they our taxes, our money goes in towards paying all of this, then that should be done from that allotted time. It's not, if I'm sending my kids to school or I'm going to school or my kids, whatever,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have that at home as well. That is the teacher's job. And that's why now homeschooling my kids, I've been very big on, they don't need to do any more than 2-3 hours of school a week, or not a week, a day. I know my kids laughing at me like, wait, what? No,
I was like, that's generous.
a day, because
Sure.
after that, be kids, learn life lessons, stuff like that. I think that the homework is an extension into your daily life. Are they doing what they're told when they're home? Are they listening to their parents? Are they listening to the teachers, even though the teachers aren't even there?
Right. Yeah, I'm a product of the public school system. So this hit hard. It was like, and I taught in public school as um as a high school teacher, and there was just something that wasn't, I don't know, something wasn't resonating. Something was weird. I never sent my kids home with a ton of homework um because I just didn't think that that was necessary. If
Mm-hmm.
they came back with their homework done, they got anything that could have been homework, it was extra credit. And that was just to help them. But
Mm-hmm.
this guy kind of laid it out in a way I had never even considered. Because if they're not doing their homework, they're kind of tattling on their home life when they come home and it's not done because it's intentionally assigned. Not that teachers do that on purpose intentionally, but they're given directives to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that teachers are evil and bad. Gosh, they're in there trying to fight the good fight. They really are. But the system, right? The framework. So that was a very aha moment for me too. I love your perspective of it. So I've heard a lot of people refer to like Western, what we're doing out here in the Western world as their parallels are drawn to the Roman world, but this guy is drawing it to Egypt. Like, what do you think about that? A lot. I mean, he's going
Um,
back before the Romans. He's talking about us being in Egypt, basically, and mirroring their society. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think?
as far as that, in truth, I did not put a whole lot of like thought into that aspect because I just kind of went down a rabbit hole of
Yeah.
what it's doing here and now. And I guess for me, I've never been one to like dwell on, well, we did this then. I am more of a, okay,
Okay.
that happened. Now, how do we make this not happen? Like, you obviously know there's an issue now. So, how can me and my family fix that? So, I didn't really dwell into like him talking about way back into Egypt or whatever else. Oh no, my phone froze. Oh, no. I don't know what happened. Oh, there we go.
Ah, I'm sorry. Wi-Fi in the woods.
I was wondering if it was yours or mine.
Probably mine right now. It's spotty. We have the Verizon Cube thing, but eventually, what did you guys use for Wi-Fi? Did you?
We didn't really use Wi-Fi, but I do know that Starlink is supposed to be really good.
Yes, we were gonna order the equipment. I think we might just because we're doing this and I'm working with Stace and we're doing an online educational program for kids. So I'm gonna need to do Starlink eventually. We just literally our title got held up and it held us up for 20 more days than we thought it would. The
Oh
equipment,
wow.
I kept putting off everything because I was like, no, we're going to leave any day now, so I wasn't able to get a hold of the Starlink equipment. So I just got to be really savvy and shoot it to where we're going next, I guess. Have it mailed and try that out. So sorry. Thank you for your patience. It's good that you know exactly what it's like.
Oh no, that's why I was like, well, one of us lost it. I'll just jump off and jump back on.
Sorry about that. Uh, Okay, so you were on like page 100, girl. You're far ahead. Good stuff. Let me see. We had some discussion questions. Dun, dun, dun. Stace had wanted to talk about. Um, well, as you were reading through and beyond that, I think the next chapter has got some really big, meaty stuff in it to talk about. Was there anything you wanted to like dive into and says, oh, the girl about who was a bad reader. She fancied herself a good reader, but the school was like, hey, she's not a good reader. You need to let the professionals handle it. And then he ended up saying, no, she actually really is a good reader. She got tested. Uh, and they said, no, you need to let us handle it. We're the experts. What's your thought about that? Like with the public school?
Well, that's just how it is. I mean, that's unfortunately we've built this whole no child left behind, and I mean, I get it, but if you do or don't have a good reader, keep them in the same grade or let them advance. And it kind of goes, I heard this thing actually from, I don't even remember who, but you're being taught at, and I mean no disrespect, but the dumbest child in the class, the lowest education. And that is the base of all of it. So there is no moving forward. There is no staying behind, because if you move those children forward, then how many other children are being neglected in the school system?
Right.
And then that's more teachers, that's more, schooling, that's more this and that. And not even just that, but I mean, she was also, I mean, another race, which is complete crap, but they
Right.
don't believe in stuff like that. They don't believe that, girls, especially different races, should be moved ahead and everything else. And they keep them in a system like that to keep them going, to make janitors, maids, everything else.
Man, that's a great point. So that's how it's almost like a caste system without being out in front of it. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yep.
Wow. I never considered. Yeah. That's that's profound right there. Right. And it's systematic. That's a systemic issue.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Uh,
Sorry, baby. I didn't know you were gonna be home. I'm on that Zoom for that book dumbing us down that I've been stuck on reading. The book that I've been reading at night. This homeschool group. I don't know.
don't ask me hard questions. Got so much going on in my noodle.
Right?
For real. He says on it's my page 54. I don't know what it actually is, but he says this great crisis that we witness in our schools is interlinked with a greater social crisis in the community. We seem to have lost our identity. Children and old people are penned up and locked away from the business of the world to a degree without precedent. Nobody talks to them anymore. I've noticed that, like old folks' homes and stuff. Gypsy, I don't know about you, but I've threatened my children. I'm like, listen, Linda, you put me in a padded room on your property, but you're not sitting me in one of those state facilities.
Yep.
Like, hose me down, whatever you have to do. But we're doing all that we can to stay as healthy as possible so that we can keep all of our marbles, like our grandfathers and grandmothers that in my side of the family have just done amazingly well. It's because they were farmers. They were lived off the land their whole life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I hate those places. I mean, what's your thought about the parallel for the children and the old people? Like, what is the purpose of doing that, do you think, for the
It takes
government school
away the
system to do?
community.
Yeah,
I mean, it
I would
it
agree.
does. It completely takes away the knowledge, the sense of community, the ability to pass on, lessons and teachings and everything else. The American people in general have
Right.
completely destroyed the sense of community.
That's a great point.
And instead of
That's
having that
that's
community, we have that community now with the government.
ugh. You're right. They redefined it. They like shook it
Mm-hmm.
up and now they're like, no, this is a definition. So that kind of like dovetails into his next interesting. I really want to know what you think about this, especially with all your experience traveling the country and stuff. Community versus wait, what does he talk about? Networking. What do you think about that? Did you get to that in the book where he was talking about community, like comparing community versus networking? So
I don't really
community is one.
remember too much about, where is that one? Hold on.
Let me see.
Because I know he mentioned
It
something about it, but I'm trying to
no,
finish
you're
him off.
fine. And it's so let's just walk through it and see if we can find it. No worries. Here's just a cool factoid that I loved, and I just ran across it again. Are you ready? This makes me so
Yeah.
happy. Um, he says on page 56 in the the psychopathic school that in their ability to think, children schooled at home seem to be 5 or even 10 years ahead of their formally trained peers.
Hmm.
That's a big deal, right? Like we just pulled up next to, and this is not like a boast in anything we've done. This is just really cool that we have this experience and can do it. We had an older couple that was next to us from New York, and our kids, we got locked out of our RV for the first time. And our kids
Hold
were
on. Hold
shot.
on. Sorry. Give me a
No, you're fine.
minute. No, go ahead.
You're good. I get it. Different directions. And this sweet older couple, because I'm realizing that the community here, like in RV, it's it's pretty nice. Most people are pretty nice that I've run into so far. We're like 32
Hmm.
seconds in, but everybody's kind of focused on the same things from what we can see. Just helping each other out, enjoying creation, traveling around, wanting the freedom. That's what we run
Hmm.
into. This couple goes, because we get locked out of our RV for the first time. It's retarded, happens. And we go over and hang out with them, and they ended up telling us the last day they were there, they said, we thought it was just our friends' kids that we plugged into this other community in South Carolina. And they're preppers and stuff. So they ended up telling us that. And they're really sweet, older couple. And they said, but your kids are homeschooled and their kids are homeschooled. And they'll actually look you in the eye and they'll have conversations with you. And they're not afraid to talk to adults. They thought that it was a fluke that the other people's kids were like that, but they were all homeschooled. And they looked at us and they go, we know the common denominator now is homeschooling. And I was blown away. I was
Hmm.
I was like, you're right, it is because our kids talk to everybody. They don't get the
Yeah.
opportunity to talk to peers. Like they get to create and love and learn and play and go drop in and talk to adults all the way down to infants, like holding the babies.
Hmm.
So I love that testimony because it wasn't necessarily like you guys are such great parents. They recognize that the form and function of why our kids could socialize the way they can is because of homeschooling.
Yeah.
And it says in here that there's 1.5 million young people are being educated entirely by their own parents. That's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find where, did you happen to scroll through and find where it says about community versus networking?
No, you got to talk. Oh, okay. Hold on. I think it's okay. So I'm on 58. Okay, there you go. 58. He mentions. Hold on. So 58, about a little over halfway down. In fact, the term community hardly applies to the way we interact with each other. We live in networks, not communities, and everyone I know is lonely because of that. School is a major actor in this tragedy, and it is a major actor in the widening gulf among social classes. Yeah, you guys can set up the tent in the backyard. Um, sorry.
Because you're such homeschoolers. I love it.
Um, thank y'all.
Would you agree
Mhm.
with that? The networking versus the community? What are your thoughts on that?
Mm, I guess it just for us, it just depends. Like we make our community through the networks, through the type of homeschooling, RVing, off-gridding, stuff like that. I mean, I get what he's saying, but for us, we make our community through that.
Well, yeah, and that's going to be different for you though, right? Because you don't have
Hmm.
your kids ingrained in that system.
Hmm.
Um, you guys are doing life together,
Yeah.
right? Like that's his definition of community based on what I had read. I just can't find exactly where it is. But his definition is you're actually concerned about the entire person when you're in community. It's not just, okay, so you're at soccer practice. Cool. Sorry, you're going through some stuff. I'm really concerned about your child's skills here. You're at school. It's all about education. And now you
Yeah.
see them, so networking is when you show up and you just see people concerned only about the one thing that the focus is on, dance or athletics. Now, can that stuff turn
Hmm.
into community? Yeah, absolutely. It totally can. Uh, but a lot of the times, because of the school system, I think is what he's trying to say, is it sets us up for more of networking. And then people feel lonely within that. This is why we're seeing higher rates of suicide, uh, and things like that in young people,
Yeah.
allegedly. I'm really skeptical about any of the statistics that come out, but that's just me because I know who runs the puppeteering on that. So it's just hard.
Like, I got you.
It's just hard because you're like, who's telling me that? Okay. Uh, yeah, so I think that's kind of what his point was there with networking versus community, which was interesting to me. I couldn't put my finger on it. There's all these people that are so busy. They spend 800,000 hours with one thing that they're doing, whether that's school or a sport or whatever. But where is that juncture where community takes over and networking stops? That overlap, I guess, of concern for one another.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I could see his point there. Um, Community is supportive. There you go.
What?
A collection, because that's
I'm
kind
the
of what
I'm
you're,
on the thing. Can you ask Daddy, baby?
because I think that's your point, is that it's a collection of families that function together in life. Like that's, so your RV, you set up your own community,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I read that in the book. It talks about unschooling too, but I'll have to share it with you. It's a book that I'm reading right now, and it's all about this family that's done the RV thing and how they just broke away from everything. And she's saying, she's speaking to exactly what he's speaking to, basically.
What's the name of it?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's by my bedside table, so I'll have to send you a
Okay.
message. It's blessedly short. It's really sweet. I really appreciate the author. I think, oh, it's called Unlocating. There we go.
Okay.
Bring it over. Unlocating.
Okay.
A friend of mine gave that to me before we started this journey. So
Nice.
yeah, totally cool.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. What else in what you're, and maybe even the page that you're stuck on, like, is a reflection that you have from what he's saying.
I don't know, just I guess through reading all of this, I've realized, especially when he gets into the talking about um how many hours. Like he goes into, and I'm further than what you're discussing, but how many hours? Like it's like 160. Hold on, I'll find it.
I think it's page 59.
Um,
I ran across it too. Exactly. It's out of 100.
yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead.
62, page 62. So like just in the school system, so out of the 160 hours in each week, my children sleep 56. That'll leave them 112 hours a week, out of which to fashion a sense of self. 55 hours of television is a week, which is ridiculous.
Right.
Um, that then leaves them 57 hours a week to grow up, but 30 of those are in school, traveling to and from. I mean, so that leaves them 12 hours a week to create a sense of self and consciousness. Like I said in the beginning, I never really at the beginning I didn't want to homeschool. My husband was like, "Let's try it for a year." You know what I mean? Like I was saying, and I was like, I just didn't understand, if I'm going to homeschool and be like 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., why not just send them to school?
Right.
Now I have, a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and we do all schools done in like not even 3 hours a day. And that gives them plenty of life skills. Like my son knows how to fix and do lawnmowers, how to work on vehicles. My daughter knows. Yeah, my son's had his own business for 3 years now. Um, my daughter knows how to cook. Like, I mean, of course, watching her, but she knows how to do her own spaghetti, grilled cheese, eggs, life skills that, like I said, I went to public school and I didn't know anything. Like literally my husband had to teach me how to cook when we met 12 years ago because I was never taught,
Yeah.
you know, and milk a goat. Yes, shut up. Like just so many different things that you take for granted. Like my 10-year-old son, he knows how to sew up his own pants if they get holes in them,
That's amazing.
and it really does. I never sat and really genuinely thought about it because, like I said, if we're going to be homeschooling for 8 hours a day, why not just stick them in school? But then you realize how much filler crap is in school. I mean, you learn the same thing repetitively unless you're going to college for almost 6 years.
Amen.
And it, and my husband said he also doesn't want a stranger teaching him their views of the world.
Good for him.
You get to teach your children the right and wrong and not just say, oh, it's this way, but genuinely sit and show them.
That's right.
We don't treat people like this. We don't do this because of that. We're not buying this just because we can when we have X amount of money to work with. You actually get to teach them stuff, how to live. Like, I didn't know what the heck taxes are, and I was like freaked out when I had my first job. And what do I do? And I don't understand. My 13-year-old knows how to sit down and do that.
Right.
How to budget, how to plan, okay, this is my workspace, so I can claim this, but I can't claim that because that wouldn't be right. You know what I mean?
You're on the back, baby. Sorry, my son is asking where the clothes are to fold. It's things, like that we just get to sit back because you and I are both products of that system where they release you out into the world and then they really want you to just continue to be dependent on them. The government really they've set it up so that you will continue to stay in that cycle. And it's like a cycle of abuse. It really is. You get scared because you don't know it can be different. And until you really have the ears to hear and the eyes to see, you don't bust out of it. And then once you do bust out of it, you get to deal with people's opinions, which are none of our business, right? It is not my business what anybody thinks of me. But in school, they kind of foster that worry about what other people think because you're being told by a teacher to sit down and to listen to them. And he discusses this in this book, which is amazing. He is participating in this behavioral training without even realizing he's participating in this behavioral training, which I was guilty of as a teacher too. I'd like to think that I was different, but you look at this and you go, this is what I was trained to do. So like your husband said, who's teaching my kids? Who are they learning right and wrong from? They get to watch you and him sit down and talk about budget. They get to watch a healthy marriage, and disagreements and resolution and things like that and understand how to do conflict resolution in a way that actually works, and so that's so insightful. It's so exciting. And it's one of those things when until you read a book like this, you don't really stop and think about it. You're like, the fact that your son can sew, that's amazing. Like now I'm like hashtag goals because now that we're RVing, you really get extra time to do some of these things that you wouldn't even have considered when you were homeschooling in a brick and mortar, like at home. So yeah, this book is really, it sounds like it's kind of impacting you too, like to just look at it and be affirmed with what we're doing. and not look
Hmm.
back, you know?
They just
Amazing.
started RVing too. This lady on the what it's Stacy, right?
I'm Bonnie,
You're
and
Bonnie.
Stacey,
Okay.
yeah, she and I are partners in crime. So
Okay. They just started 3 weeks ago RVing. They have, yeah, they just started 3 weeks ago RVing. And so we kind of got on a RVing thing. I guess she was talking to her husband about wanting to do the schoolie. And I
yep,
was giving her like the positives, but also the negative connotation. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't think that about schoolies, but that's interesting that other people have their opinions. Leave mine. You can leave mine. I'll get mine. Thanks, buddy. Um, oh, what do you think about this? Especially since you were in the public school, Gypsy. I'm interested about your thoughts. He says it's probably just a couple of pages from where you were, but he kind of lists
What page is it on?
on mine it's 61, but it sounds like yours are a little bit ahead because I think I have the older version.
Okay.
Um, it's he starts with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like it goes to 8. It's Roman numeral 5. He says, I want to tell you the effect on our children is of us taking all their time from them, time they need to grow up, and forcing them to spend it on abstractions. Um, he says the children I teach have almost no curiosity, and what little they do have is transitionary. Are your kids curious? Like, would you consider your children curious?
Yes.
Same.
Yes.
Like they want to know everything all the time. I'm like, stop asking me questions, but it's such a good thing.
It's like a catch 22. It's like, okay, enough with the questions, but okay, hold on, I gotta answer you.
Yes, I have to stop what I'm doing and work through this with you. That's
Mm-hmm.
affirming. Okay, good. I figured yours were curious. They Oh, this is interesting. Did you agree with uh like what are your thoughts on number 3? The children I teach have a poor sense of the future, of how tomorrow is inextricably linked to today. As I said before, they live in a continuous present. The exact moment they are in is the boundary of their consciousness. Interesting.
Oh, 100%. There
Yeah.
is none. They're taught to do as they're told. Don't ask
Yeah.
questions. Don't do this. Your future depends on certain grades. I mean, it's all just pretty much black and white. You do good, you can have this job. You don't do good, then you're flipping burgers or something. And with our, no, I'm not talking crap. You are in there making me a burger because you're awesome.
And thank you.
And thank you, yes. But like our kids do, they do have a better sense of the future because they
Yeah.
get to experience that real life. Whereas, like, if you're in the
Yeah.
school system, they don't know real life because they're sitting down with 25, 35 other kids and they don't have that opportunity to.
Here's your burger, you elitist snob.
I love you. But they don't have that opportunity for real life, so it's not like they have any option to think outside of it because after they go home they still have to do homework and then it's just done. They don't
Yeah.
get to see real life as it is, how parents struggle, how parents have rewards, how what real actual life is like.
Yeah, and I
So
think it speaks to what you're doing with your kids too, Gypsy. Like it reminded me of Stace, and my son as well. Just learning these skills, like owning businesses, working on like lawnmowers, mechanically inclined. Like your husbands are super mechanically inclined and have passed that skill on. If you guys weren't homeschooling, your kids would literally be in school for 8 hours a day. Do the math times 5 days a week,
mhm.
right? When would they learn those skills from your husbands who are also super busy because of their trade and their skill set, So homeschooling allows you to bring them in, learn those skills, and have something to do for the future, which is the exact opposite of what these kids that are living in the moment every single moment. No wonder they're terrified. You know, like if the moment doesn't go right, they're like, it's all gonna crash and burn. But our kids are like, oh yeah, I didn't get that right. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on. You know, it's
Well,
funny because go ahead, go ahead.
well, you have to think about it. Like you just said, I mean, when they get home from school, the husbands are tired from fucking working. The kids are tired from doing school. The moms
Yeah,
haven't seen anybody sorry, all
you're
day.
fine.
I just realized I'm sitting here cussing like one of my friends. Okay. So, anyways, so
You're
they're all
comfortable. It's great.
tired. And then by the time the weekend comes, there's all the kids aren't going to want to sit down and be like, hey, can you teach me something on top of school? They're going
No,
to want to
yeah,
go and hang out with their friends. Like
yep,
most of the time, our kids hang out with their friends during the week. And then the weekend is when we all hang out, do stuff, teach, family time, and stuff like that because they've had that opportunity all week long.
yeah. Yeah, and it kind of what we talked about earlier between that community and that networking. Having your kids in school lends itself then to being in the network in the weekends, right? That's when all of your sporting events are happening or dance events are happening. And I'm not condemning anybody for having their kids in any of that stuff because my
Yeah.
kids participated in that as well. But when you're not drawn out of the school system and you're in those networks only, like then everybody just jumps into networks instead of like what you're saying, Gypsy. Now we're in our community. We go into community all the time. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
extra is just fun. And that's what we're here to do too. It's not all work all the time, but it doesn't have to be all fun all the time either. There's got to be a balance. And this
Yeah.
school system really throws off the ability to find that balance, you know? So,
It does.
oh,
And I think that also it takes away how Gypsy said her son's had a business for 3 years now. I think it takes away from kids being able to do entrepreneurship and have their parents with them there to learn everything that's involved from keeping track of accounts to customer service to learning the skills needed to run the business as well as um, doing their schoolwork all at once. And there's not really that kind of opportunity when you're in a public school.
Mm-mm. There's not.
So
yeah.
that comes back to seeing tomorrow. When the kids grow up having a business, even if it's mowing lawns or doing newspapers or taking up trash cans, they're thinking of tomorrow. They're thinking of how can I be better for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So they're
It takes
able to
away-
think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, so they're thinking outside the box. They're thinking outside of the box that they've been put in public school, kind of like a jack in a box, like you wound them up and then they pop out.
Yeah. Yep. And Gypsy was saying earlier, it's like, you get it put it in perspective for me when she was speaking to you get the same stuff in the public school for about 6 years on rotation. So there's nothing really new under the sun that's being taught to you. And then they're just expecting there's an expectation that you'll be dependent on that system because there's no real life skills. They took away home ec out of the schools. I mean, it wasn't just for girls, it's just now boys can't even learn and her son can sew, like that's valuable. And we don't have any of these skills for the future. So it kind of lends us to that jack in the box of, okay, I guess I just better go and have somebody pay me and be in the system and do whatever I want, they need me to do. So yeah, that's really interesting. Good points, ladies. Well, geez, it's already 11:56. Gypsy, I feel like I could talk to you forever.
I know. I was just sitting here looking. I was like, oh no.
And Stace too. She's back. The Golden Gate Bridge girl.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Fine. We had a great talk. I know you were listening.
Yeah. What's wrong, baby?
I'll go through with them.
They're not put. Daddy's going to see what's going on, baby. Go with them. Miss Pouty, you need a minute? Okay. Her big brothers are usually very, very nice, but then they all fight. And then the
Conflict
world just
resolution.
explodes.
Yeah. Conflict resolution. One argument at a time, right?
They usually always figure it out. That's why I just they're really good about it. They're really good about figuring out their own problems. No, you're not? Oh, they're not, just not you? Okay.
That's okay, baby. I understand. We understand. I tell my kids it's the best training for marriage you'll ever have. So just embrace it.
So true. So true.
It's part of being in relationship, so you're not always going to get along. Well, I don't have anything else, but this has been such a treat. Thank you, Gypsy.
Yes, definitely. And I will definitely try to hop on next week again.
That'd be
And
awesome.
hopefully by then I will have actually finished the book. I keep
you're
getting
going
stuck and
super
they
fast.
keep like mentioning all these books and people and everything. So I'm like, okay, I gotta write that down, and then I start side reading. So yeah.
That's a sign of intelligence to be reading more than one book at a time. So there you go.
Well, there we go.
There you go. Super smart, lady. That's what's going on.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to friend you so we can chat about all the things.
Yeah, definitely. That's fine.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Then when you get back on the road, we can meet up.
yes, that'd be awesome.
That'd be rad. We're getting Stacy on the road too one of these days.
Yes, ma'am. Coming soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for meeting up here today.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm glad I finally got to jump on.
Absolutely. Tell your friends we'd love to have more conversation in the weeks to come.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All
Have a
right.
great day.
Bye.
See you
y'all.
later. Bye.
Later.